Well, welcome to Harvest. Come on. Wow. This is absolutely amazing. I'm so excited, and they had me start out, and you guys know I'm a pastor, and you were supposed to take like 2 or 3 minutes, and being that I didn't see any of you guys at my church this Sunday, I'm going to have you open your Bibles right now and turn to, okay. I won't do that to you, but there will be a collection before you leave. It is just such an honor. We've been working at this project for a few years. Matter of fact, we'll say 3 to be exact. One thing you have to learn about entrepreneurs, we're crazy people. We're resilient, and we try to be resourceful in everything that we do. I'm going to go completely off the script just for one moment. You guys know I am a pastor. I'm going to ask if Bishop Chris, if you all don't mind, every day we open our store, we're going to open it with prayer. That's very important to us. Can we receive His grace, Bishop Chris?
Good afternoon, everyone. Shall we pray? Father, we thank you for this auspicious day, this day of celebration. Thank you for all that has been done to make this project a successful one. And I pray, oh God, that today will be a new beginning for the city of Peoria, specifically the South Side. I thank you, oh God, for every door you're going to open, for every way you're going to make. So we praise you in advance. In His precious name, amen.
Thank you very much. I'm going to have introduced for some that you may not know her, but if you want to, I want you to meet the sugar in my coffee, my wife, Julia. If she can come stand with. Share this moment with me. We added to our name. There's a Harvest store in Champaign, but it's not us, but great store. So we added to our name so you'll know what CJ means. C is for Chuck, J is for Julia. And so we're very excited. Again, we thank you all for coming, being a part of it. It's very, I promised the residents here a couple of years ago that we were going to have a supermarket in our community. It's critically, thank you, critically important. It's critically important. We are a very progressive community, a very diverse community. It's evident in our city government, our county, as well as our park district and other municipalities. And the south side of Peoria is an area that has suffered economic disadvantages. And when you have a community such as that, you'll find a place where you'll have different Dollar Trees and convenience stores proliferate these communities, and it doesn't provide the type of nutrition and healthy and affordable food that we want to give to the community. When we started this project, there was no grocery initiative grant. We came out here on faith. And that's one thing I want to share with all business entrepreneurs. You can get the support and help from the people in your government, but it's more important that you learn you have to be tenacious. You have to be determined, and you have to be willing to put your best foot forward, understanding that it may not go exactly the way you want it. These 3 years have been good for me. I believe I've got a PhD in supermarketology, so I've learned everything there is to learn. So not only can we have a business that will open, but we'll have a business that is also sustainable. We plan on being here for years to come, okay? This project was time sensitive. We had very little time. Once that grant was released, we were on the clock. We had a 25%, we had to do a match. So we had a short window of opportunity, and I needed some support to help mitigate the gap between where I was financially and where I needed to be. And we're going to have a lot of people I'd love to thank. We're going to do that during the ribbon cutting ceremony when we open the store. But were it not for Jimmy Dillon, Scott Sorrell, and meeting with Sharon Williams from Peoria County, this meeting wouldn't be taking place today. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank them for doing an amazing job of coming together and making it possible. We're really honored. We'll get a chance to meet with our city body on the 23rd of October. We're very excited, looking forward to that meeting. I know without question they'll be assisting us as well. We are a community that work together, and together we stand, divided we fall. I also want to recognize the team that works so hard in the background to help us put the grant together. First of all, Sarah, my grant writer, wherever she is, can you wave your hand? Yeah. Sarah is a boss, amen. And I tell you, we worked together with Kristen, and Sean came to our community, and John, and then a few years ago, I met this young man, and I know the Lord sent him in my life, but he owns the Neon Bison downtown Peoria, which they're going to open up a new facility there. But John helped me crunch my initial numbers and made me look like I knew what I was doing. But let's give him a hand. And our team worked diligent. I would like to say we got total support from start to finish from Ms. Denise Moore in the Minority Business Development. It is a business that's working for our community. They provide the strength and information to help small businesses become what we need to do to help strengthen the hand of our community. And so I won't go any further. Again, I'll have a whole lot to say once we cut the ribbon, but at least now I can walk in Walmart and people say, when's the store going to open? I've heard that like 1,000 times. But again, for all of you in leadership in our city and our government, thank you for being here today. It really is an honor to see such an amazing group of people here today. I have the distinct honor and the privilege to introduce a gentleman who has been extremely powerful here in the state of Illinois, one of our greatest leaders of our current era. He stands up, and his word is his bond. When he says what he's going to do, he says what he means, and he means what he says. And it is such an honor to have him here in our store today. And without further ado, I'm going to give honor where honor is due. I want you to stand to your feet, and let's receive our governor of Illinois, Governor J.B. Pritzker. Come on, Peoria.
Wow, that is some introduction. Thank you so much. Really, I'm honored, and good afternoon, everyone. It is great to be here with you. It's great to be here with Julia and Chuck Brown. I asked him if I should call him Reverend on the way in, or he said, no, just call me Chuck. But I have to say that the title Reverend feels appropriate. You talked about faith as an entrepreneur. It does take faith to be an entrepreneur, and it probably helps if you need faith to be a reverend. So I also want to announce today that is also my new title, Reverend, because someone asked me to marry them, and it turns out that the governor of Illinois does not have the power to marry people. And so I had to send away $30 to the United Life Church, and yes, I prefer, Reverend Governor J.B. Pritzker. So it is the most honored title I've ever had, Reverend. So it's so great to be here at the Harvest Supermarket and to be with all of you, and I can feel the enthusiasm in the community for this. Local grocery stores like the one that we're standing in are the backbone of communities across the state of Illinois. They keep people healthy and fed, they help our economy grow, and they help our communities thrive. That's why this place is so important. That's why I'm thrilled to be here celebrating the first round of funding for the new Grocery Stores in Food Deserts program through the Illinois Grocery Initiative, which has awarded $6.9 million to 4 stores in Illinois: Chicago, Rockford, Carlinville, and of course right here in Peoria. Yeah. And I'm also very proud to announce that we will begin accepting applications for the next round of funding for the new grocery stores program in the coming days. So we're not stopping here. We've got a lot more to do across the entire state of Illinois. On top of that, the Illinois Grocery Initiative's Equipment Upgrades Program, something that we made sure was part of the effort here, we'll be distributing $1 million to 7 projects across Illinois, providing energy-efficient equipment upgrades to HVAC, refrigeration, lighting systems in small grocery stores in communities like Alton and Belvedere and Riverside. So again, we're not stopping at just one project. We've got a whole lot to do, and we're getting it done all across the state. I want to start also by thanking some of the many people who have worked so tirelessly to shape these programs, to help us fight food insecurity and keep Illinoisans healthy. I'm grateful to the entire team at the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. You're going to hear in just a moment from Cameron Yost from DCEO. I want to thank also the director of DCEO. Both of them have just been doing outstanding work, both for economic development as well as for community development. And this, yeah, thank you. I don't want to forget my colleagues in the General Assembly, 2 of whom are here. I just want to say, Leader Jahan Gordon Booth and Leader Dave Kaler, it matters who you send to the General Assembly. It really does. And I'm not just calling them leaders because they are personally great leaders. It's because their colleagues made them leaders. And they have shown it every day. And so I know when Jahan Gordon Booth or when Dave Kaler come to see me as governor and they say, we need to do this, I listen, because I know that they have the support of people in their community and they want to get things done for you. And so I just want to compliment all of you for sending great leaders to Springfield to represent you. I also don't want to forget 2 people who aren't here. Chris Belt, who's a senator, I just left him in East St. Louis and Metro East, and Representative Mary Beth Canty, who comes from the suburbs up toward Chicago. They were sponsors of the bill that made all of this possible, so I want to thank them. And also to our local government leaders, to Mayor Rita Ali, thank you very much. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Ever since she took office, I was like, oh, we're going to get a lot done in Peoria, And she really does. So I also want to thank Peoria County Chair James Dillon, who's served this community so faithfully and believes in this just as much as all of the rest of us. And so thank you very much for your leadership. Over 3 million Illinoisans are currently living in a food desert. That means that far too many families have difficulty putting food on the table simply because they live a far distance from a grocery store. And whether you live in a small town or you live in a dense urban neighborhood, everyone needs local access to quality, healthy food options. That's why my senior team and I brought together policy experts a couple of years ago and community advocates, in search of innovative ideas and best practices from across the nation. My team went to Kansas, for example, to talk to folks about a community grocery store that was put together, and just as one idea for how do we get this job done to make sure that people have a grocery store in their neighborhood. Sometimes it's not easy, right? We know that a Walmart moves in somewhere, a large enterprise, even in a 50-mile radius, can drive everybody out of business, especially small grocery stores. And it's just hard these days to be a small grocery store, to get items distributed to your store in a cost-effective manner so you can pass savings on to local residents. But we put together an ambitious policy agenda to dramatically expand food access and affordability for Illinois families. So that included another program that's, again, part of this broad effort called the Illinois Eats program. It was announced earlier this year. It purchases food at fair market value directly from socially disadvantaged farmers here in Illinois and distributes it to food insecure communities through local food banks. We went further by broadening SNAP food assistance to allow seniors and those with mobility challenges to access grocery shopping options online. These are all part of the same thing that we're trying to solve for food insecurity. And we created the Illinois Grocery Initiative, a bipartisan, and I want to emphasize that Republicans and Democrats sometimes can get together and get something important done for the people that they represent, and that happened here. It's a bipartisan, first of its kind investment that aims to keep small grocers afloat and create new grocery stores and grocery options in food deserts across the state. That initiative is the source of the funding that we're awarding today, which will go directly to supporting those 4 local grocers who will serve as critical lifelines for their communities. Grocers like 40 Acres Fresh Market in Chicago. It's a mobile pop-up grocery option that operates on Chicago's west side in a neighborhood that didn't have a grocery store. And they'll use their funding to complete their first brick and mortar operation in the neighborhood. Or Our Market in Carlinville, which plans to open up a new store downtown that will serve all of Macoupin County. And of course, Harvest Supermarket here in Peoria will receive $1.7 million. Which will help renovate this building. I guess we'll take down this wall at some point, and but it's going to help to renovate this building and install energy-efficient equipment that will allow them to open as a full-service grocery store. It's worthy of. All of that is in service of bringing quality, nutritious food options to families in the neighborhood and families who need it most. So I want to thank all of you for being here. What an enthusiastic crowd this is. I know you all could be somewhere else right now, but being here shows your commitment to this community, to this project, and your reverence for the Reverend. And of course, your helping, just your enthusiasm really helps give more Illinoisans the nourishment that they need to lead healthy, fulfilling lives. Because if this is successful, and it will be, we're going to be able to do this everywhere in Illinois, and places that haven't seen a grocery store in a long time. So there's a lot of work still to be done, and I'm very confident that we'll be getting it done because we're working together. So with that, I want to turn the podium over to really a champion for Illinois families, somebody I've known for a number of years who used to serve in the federal government, who came to work with us in state government, and someone who has a real heart for this work, and that's our DCEO Assistant Director, Cameron Yost.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you, Governor Pritzker, for that introduction. As he said, my name is Cameron Yost, and I am the Assistant Director at the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, or DCEO, and I'm truly honored to be here today to announce and celebrate our 11 grantees through the Illinois Grocery Initiative New Stores and Equipment Upgrades Grant Programs. Under Governor Pritzker's leadership, we have made tremendous strides in our efforts to combat food insecurity throughout the state, and today is a testament to that hard work. The Illinois Grocery Initiative was created to ensure families across Illinois, regardless of their zip code, have access to affordable, fresh, and healthy food options in their community. That means ensuring our current and future grocers have tools, resources, and most importantly, the financial support to operate efficiently within their communities. This grant funding will not only help provide existing grocery stores with the essential equipment they need to stay open and serve their communities, but it will do so while lowering their utility bills and carbon footprint. And the grant funding awarded through the New Stores in Food Deserts program will cover the startup costs for the establishment of new grocery stores in food deserts. Grantees will also receive extensive technical assistance for their stores to help them run a successful business and keep their doors open. This funding will not only provide our communities with affordable and nutritious food, but it will also help boost our local economies and improve quality of life for thousands of Illinois residents. None of this would have been possible without the determination and continued efforts of leaders like Governor Pritzker, our legislators in the General Assembly, food justice advocates, and other stakeholders, many of whom are joining us today. And with that, it is my distinct honor to introduce Peoria's own leader, Jahan Gordon-Booth. Girl, Congrats.
That's my real friend. When I say 616, y'all say 05. 616? 05. Yes. Today is such a beautiful day, not just for Peoria, but specifically for the 61605 zip code. I'm an old timer here, okay? I remember when this was Aldi's. Go a little bit further down, Martin Luther King, cut over to Harmon Highway. How many remember the Dales, the Krogers, the Eagles? A little bit further down, right? Like this was an area that was bustling with grocery stores. First it was Dale's that left. Then it was Eagles. Then it was Aldi, where we stand here today. And Kroger's was a death blow for many of us. It was so sad because it was like an end of an era. I grew up 3 blocks from here. And there was no shortage when I was growing up. There was no shortage of being able to go and my mother go shop for Sunday dinner. There was no shortage of me taking every time I got $2 in my pocket to run to a grocery store. And I would like to say I was buying fresh produce, but I wasn't. But a place to go and buy candy was an actual grocery store where people worked every day and they got to know not just the adults, but the kids in the neighborhood. And they would ask about you. That's called community. And we lost a little bit of that. But then, the best governor in the United States said, I have a plan. And when I took on the role as chief budgeteer, one of the first meetings that I had was with Deputy Governor Andy Menard. He is not here today, but I want to give an extra special shout out to Deputy Governor Menard because he came to me in one of our very first meetings talking about this initiative and why it was so important to the governor, but also why it was so important to him. Because Andy, before he was the deputy governor, he served in the Illinois Senate. And he too represented a downstate community very similar to myself and Senator Kaler. And he understands with every fiber of his being how important it is that we are making smart, strategic, but oftentimes first of its kind investments. Because what the governor has done is he has put not just the dollars behind this vision, but he has put the trust of the state government. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the country is watching what's happening here in Peoria. They're watching what's happening in East St. Louis. They're watching what's happening in Rockford. Because when, not if, but when we are successful, when Reverend Brown is successful, yes, you are going to see states all over this nation decide to model after this program that was born out by our governor, J.B. Pritzker. If we could just give him an extra special round of applause. Because he, in this role that I serve in, I work with him a lot. And ladies and gentlemen, I cannot tell you how amazing it has been to work with someone who loves people. And not just the people that are easy to love, because we all know some people are easy to love and some are not. But he literally loves everybody. Everybody say PHP. PHP. PHP is just people helping people. And that's what you have here today. A lot of folks with a couple of titles in front or behind their name, but we're just people helping people. And we know that it is incredibly important that we begin to close the food deserts, not just here in Peoria on the south side, but in rural Illinois as well, because there are a lot of things that keep us separate unnecessarily, but there are so many things that unite us. And the need to tackle the issues of today, they unite not just Democrats, Republicans, but they unite old and young people to solving problems. And the issue of not having fresh, quality produce in this community has been a problem that folks have tried to tackle for a very, very long time. And I'm just so grateful that the governor has saw fit to invest these resources in our community to ensure that the people on the south side of Peoria are no longer living in a food desert. With that said, there is no one who has put in more work in this community in terms of bringing people together in a collaborative fashion than the best partner that a girl could ask for as my Senate partner, Senator Dave Kaler, who led so many conversations around ensuring, yes, they were, those meetings, many of you in this room, I'm seeing you, many of those meetings, not many, the meetings that I came to around food deserts, they weren't led by me. They were led by Senator Kaler. I was just a participant. And so I just want to thank him openly and publicly because I'm so grateful to his leadership for always being a person helping other people. Please, with no further ado, Senator David Kaler.
I think I'll just go home after that. So, let me pick up the story where Jahan started. So it was when Kroger closed their store in Madison Park and on the East Bluff. And I live in the East Bluff, and so that became, a big void in terms of the East Bluff. So a lot of us got together. We met at the Peoria County Health Department. Were some of you involved in that? Willa, were you there? Denise was there. So we talked about what we're going to do, and there's all kinds of ideas flying around. They were all tough, because there's a number of stores, as Jahan mentioned, that were here at one time and they left, right? So then came Chuck Brown with an idea. And he started pursuing this, and I came down and met with him and looked at his vision. I thought, wow, that's pretty ambitious. But you know why this is going to succeed? Because your heart and your soul has to be in it to succeed, right? Your faith has to be in it to succeed. That's the difference. The other stores, they make economic interest or, decisions, and they just kind of check it off and they say, no, that one's gone. No, this is a community that cares, and this is a person, Chuck and his wife and all the team, that cares about providing food for this neighborhood. And that's going to make the difference. And then what happened was that Governor Pritzker, not because the legislature asked or because anybody else brought the idea, but it's because he was proactive and said, we've got to do something about that. And so his team went out, as he mentioned, to Kansas, to other places, and said, what are they doing there? And this idea was brought back, and he mentioned the legislators that sponsored this, and it passed, I think, unanimously in both chambers because it was something that was needed. And so you have people that have their heart and their soul in this. That's why it's going to succeed. And speaking of heart and soul, let me introduce Mayor Rita Ali.
Thank you, Leader Kaler. It's great to be in your company today and around all these reverends. Of course, we knew that Pastor Chuck was a reverend. I knew that Senator Kaler was a reverend. I just learned that the governor is a reverend. And Leader Jahan Gordon Booth sounded like a reverend today, too, didn't she? Okay, great. So I want to thank Governor Pritzker for the invitation to speak briefly with you today, and I want to acknowledge all the elected officials and everyone here celebrating today. This is an extraordinary day. It's not just the opening of a new store. It's the beginning of a new chapter for this neighborhood. And for me, it feels like coming home. As many of you know, I grew up right here just a few blocks, as Jahan said, a few blocks from here, my mother still lives at Howard and Western. Walking these streets and sharing the same hopes and dreams for a better future for our community. And today we're taking a big step in that direction. First, I'd like to extend my deepest thanks to Pastor Chuck Brown and Harvest Market and Grill for seeing the potential in this neighborhood and for believing in our residents and for investing in their future, which is our future. This isn't just a business decision, it's a commitment to the health and well-being of this community. This will not only be a place where people will have options for their groceries, but it will provide job opportunities and a place where neighbors can meet and visit in the aisles. I would also like to thank Governor Pritzker and Illinois DCEO for providing Pastor Brown with the Illinois Grocery Initiative Grant. This funding, along with the additional funding commitment from Peoria County, is sure to set Harvest Market and this neighborhood on the path to eliminating the food desert issue in this district. I want to acknowledge our city council members, local and state leaders, and the community advocates like Denise Moore, former council member, but still a leader in helping businesses to thrive in our community, who have tirelessly fought for resources and development here. And to all the residents, your patience, resilience, and belief that better things were coming made this possible. For too long, the residents on the South Side have known that access to fresh, healthy food was more than just inconvenient. It was nearly impossible for some. But that changes today. Families will soon be able to visit their neighborhood grocery store and not struggle with the inconvenience of traveling, sometimes miles out of their way, to put nutritious meals on the table. I can't stand here today and not think about my childhood. Again, I grew up a few blocks from here. My mother established her business and our family home here. I remember shopping at numerous grocery stores in this area, but over time, like leader Jahan Gordon Booth, I've seen those stores eventually close. But despite the changes in the neighborhood, I know the strength and the sense of community that still remains here. This new grocery store is a testament to that spirit. It shows that when we come together, residents, businesses, and government, we can bring impactful change to the places that we call home. Today's announcement adds to the continued investment in Peoria's South Side. The transformation of Western Avenue wasn't possible without $14.8 million in investment, including a $1.2 million grant from the state of Illinois. And I look for that work to start on Western, from Western to, on Western from Lincoln Avenue to Farmington Road. Thanks to the state, Lincoln and Howard were recently repaired. Did you notice that? Making it a smoother drive for the thousands of drivers who use those roads every year. The former McKinley School, long a blighted property, was demolished with the help of federal funds. And then there's the Edward B. Gaines Jr. Fire Station 4, a state-of-the-art station to meet the needs of our residents. Successful growth in the South Side wouldn't be possible without the help of many, and as you can see, the continued investment begets more growth and a stronger future. Yes. Today is about progress, community, and the future. Together, we've shown with the help of many, a community can thrive. And I noticed that Chairman Jimmy Dillon has entered the room. There he is, you guys. Thank you. County Board Chairman. Thank you to everyone that made this day possible. Let's celebrate today's success and continue to build on the momentum for successful growth on Peoria's South Side. And now I'll turn it back over to our wonderful Governor Pritzker.
Happy to take any questions from members of the media. Yes, sir.
So with the grocery tax being limited in 2026, beginning of the year here in Illinois, what do you kind of think that'll affect this neighborhood?
Well, first of all, lowering taxes on food is, I think, one of the most important things you can do. It was the most regressive tax you could possibly have, taxing people on food. Wealthy people, middle-class people can afford to go to the grocery store and pay 1%. Everybody else, it's hard. And I think, that's one of the reasons why we went after it. We're also, this is kind of embarrassing, but we were 13 states in the United States. Only 13 states still had a grocery tax. We were one of them. And before we ever got around to it, 4 of those 13 states had already planned to get rid of their grocery tax. So we would have been one of 9 states. I mean, Illinois should not be last or near the end of the line, right? We should be first in line to get the right thing done for the people of the state. So that's why we wanted to get it done. So I think, it helps everybody across the state just to, we remember when we decided to do this, we're still experiencing significant inflation. And as I said often in the discussion of this, even if inflation was at 4% and we're taking 1% off with the elimination of this grocery tax, it helps people. It may not seem like a lot, but it really does help people. So, municipalities and others, make decisions for themselves about how they want to pay for things, but we felt like getting rid of the grocery tax was the right thing to do for most people in the state. Yes, sir. Well, maybe some of you have noticed that we've made a lot of progress over the last couple of years attracting companies to the state of Illinois, new businesses. I talked a lot about clean energy businesses and electric vehicle businesses, but there's a whole lot more, and I don't want to put my colleagues in the General Assembly on the spot, but they know because we've talked about these things. So there are, we've had a lot of conversations with companies, some of them in the state of Illinois expanding and wanting to come to Peoria, some of them from other parts of the country, even other parts of the world who want to come to Peoria. So, and some in Peoria who want to expand and don't know whether they should do it in Peoria or maybe somewhere else. So, our job is to, put as many businesses and create as many jobs as we can in Peoria. And so I feel really good about the prospects for our state. I'll just say to all of you, as I've done a lot of the promotion around the country and around the world for the state, in fact, next week I'm going to, actually not just next week, day after tomorrow I'm leaving for Tokyo to talk to Japanese companies about coming to the state of Illinois. Yeah. I had people tell me when we started this effort a few years ago to start to really promote the state to businesses that they had not heard from the state of Illinois or the governor of the state of Illinois since Jim Thompson was governor. Right? That's 40 years. So, that's, in a way, that's embarrassing to admit about our state, but it also says we must be doing something right because everybody's recognizing it now, and they want to talk to us, and they want to come here. So I feel good about the prospects for us bringing businesses to the city of Peoria and to the surrounding community, the county, and the region here. Yes, sir. Oh, go ahead. So the first thing is you got to let everybody know you're here and what it is you have to offer, right? And I'll tell you what the number one thing we have. We got a lot of things to offer. We could talk about a lot of things, and I do. But the number one thing we have is we have the workforce, and the workforce training and the education. And it's impressive when you put us up against other states. We have some of the best talent in the nation for everything from manufacturing to service industry, scientists, engineers. We really have it all here. And we just haven't told everybody about all of it. And when I talk about it, and I feel like it's a campaign, when I talk about it and promote the state of Illinois, people are surprised. And we have the third largest community college system in the entire nation. Very few people know about that, right? We have 48 community colleges. And we've been funding them for the last few years, finally. And we also have some of the best universities in the entire world in Illinois. And the public ones, anyway, we've been funding for the last few years. And so now what you're seeing is an increase in enrollment. New freshman classes are bigger than they've been in a decade or more. And community colleges now can offer tuition-free opportunity for people to get a certificate or a degree, to get the kind of training that they need. So that's number one thing that I say. Yeah, thank you. And then we have lots of other things. I'll just point out that we have the third most reliable energy grid in the entire country. Now, maybe that sounds uninteresting to you, but for a lot of businesses, right, making sure that they have a continuous source of electricity that doesn't go out. You remember a couple of years ago when Texas, the lights went out for a couple of weeks. Okay, because their grid is no good. Ours is the third most reliable. Oh, by the way, the other two most reliable ahead of us are small states where it's pretty easy to do. We're the largest. We are in the top 10 most populous states. We're the ones that have the most reliable electric grid, and then clean energy, which companies, you'd be surprised. They show up at our door. It's like the first, second, or third question they ask. Yeah, have you got the electricity? But we want clean energy. We want to know that we're getting it from clean sources. And because of the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act that we passed a couple of years ago, here in Illinois, we've doubled the amount of renewable energy that we're providing since 2021 when this went into effect. And I don't want to promise too much, but I think over the next year you're going to see numbers that show that we will have tripled it over the next 12 months. So I meant since we started, not from today. We're not going to triple it from today, but more clean energy, solar, wind, and then we've got really terrific. We're the largest state for nuclear, and the reason that's so important is it's base load, very important. More than 50% of our electricity in the state of Illinois comes from nuclear. And so we're able to build on top of that for states that are running out of electricity. It's going to take us, it'll be a long time till we run out, though we need to keep building our distribution and our production. So, yeah. I'll say a couple things. One is communities can make decisions for themselves about whether or not they want to have a grocery tax or some other method. I would recommend something that isn't as regressive as a grocery tax, because that really hits people where it hurts. So that's the first thing I'd say. And second, there are a lot of people who they go around saying, well, gee, we ought to lower taxes. We really need to lower taxes. Why aren't we lowering taxes? And then the minute you lower a tax, they're like, wait, we can't live without that money. So I just want you to know, people will complain no matter what we do. I think lowering taxes and letting municipalities make decisions for themselves, I understand it's always a challenge to figure out how we're going to pay for things, but it seems like leaning on groceries to do it, for me anyway, I think it doesn't make a lot of sense. But I understand there are communities that will choose to reimpose that, and that's up to them and local residents to make that decision. Thank you.